Welcome to my February wrap up. I kind of can't even believe that February is over and we're now into March, which is so crazy. For the month of February, I read only romance books. And for the month of March, I have a really fun reading prompt as well. But let's get through all the books that I read in February first. The first book that I read was on Kindle Unlimited. It's called The Rom-Commers by Katherine Center. Nothing in particular drew me to this book. I just wanted a quick romance, something that I could read specifically on Kindle. And I came across this book, so I thought I would give it a shot. I said this in a couple videos before, but I have read one other Katherine Center book, and that was The Love Haters. It was not for me. I just was very annoyed by the female main character, and some plot points were just not really necessary. It just wasn't for me. So with this being her highest rated book, I thought I would like this better, and I really didn't. Again, it was the female main character that she kind of just drove me up a wall. I almost feel like this could have been a YA book just in the way that she was written. I felt like she was just very immature and annoying. It just wasn't fun to read from her perspective, which is the entire book. So maybe for me as a reader, the way that Katherine Center characterizes her characters, I just don't really like it. I think I ended up giving this 3 stars. There were parts of it that I enjoyed and that kept me interested. So I feel like after these 2 Katherine Center books, I would give her one more chance, and maybe if the next book I read by her doesn't work out for me, she just won't be an author that I pick up again. I feel like if I were to read one other Katherine Center book, it would be her new book coming out this year. Maybe I'll give that a chance and see how it goes. But for The Rom-Commers, I'm pretty sure I give it 3 stars. There was nothing about the story that really stood out to me or was very memorable. Then I read Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino. I read this in my Doing Book Things video, so I kind of gave a little bit of insight into how I was feeling while reading that, but I want to give my full thoughts here. I feel like this was the first book this entire year that I actually was invested in. It was not a perfect book, but I think it was just what I needed for the time being. The main character picks up a book one day and realizes that the book that she's reading is written by her childhood love about her childhood growing up from her perspective. And you get to read his book in this book. So it gets kind of confusing. Within this book, you can kind of tell that she is closed off as a character. You don't really know much about her upbringing, but you get to see it through his book in this book. Does that even make any sense? It's kind of hard to explain. I don't really know how else to explain it though, but there's like a book within a book. I just felt like this was a really unique way to create a story. I read this on Kindle as well, but of course had the physical copy, so I went back and forth, which I think is maybe why I read it so fast. But it just felt good to finally be in a story and be out doing things and thinking about the book, because I haven't had very good luck with my reading this year. So this finally just got me back into it. So I gave this a 4.5 stars. I just think it was the perfect thing to read at the time. It had a really sweet ending as well. So 4.5 stars. I really liked this. The month kept getting better as time went on. The last book I read in February was When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I'm actually kind of upset it took me so long to pick up this book / series. Everything about this I absolutely loved. I honestly thought that reading only romance books for the whole month I would get burnt out on it, but because they kept getting better, I ended on such a high note with this. You're following Amelia, who is a pop sensation. She drives to this small town on purpose, Rome, Kentucky, because she's trying to escape her pop star life and is wanting to live out the Audrey Hepburn movie Roman Holiday. She breaks down in the front yard of Noah, who is a small town pie shop owner. He takes her in until her car gets fixed. You know how it goes. Just everything about this book was just so fun and cute. I love when they're siblings so that the story can continue with the other side characters, and then you can see previous characters in the other stories. So Noah has 3 sisters, so there are 3 more books in the When in Rome series, so we will get his sister's point of view / love stories with those books. I feel like Sarah Adams did a really good job writing the story to not be so like such a typical romance love story, with the whole recipe for how they're usually written and what happens in the third act and the way I feel some authors just kind of check boxes. I feel like this just kind of was its own thing. I love stories set in a small town where everybody knows everybody. And usually I don't enjoy books where the main character works in music or the music industry because it just feels a little close to home being a singer and songwriter. I just kind of want to leave that out and escape somewhere where that doesn't exist. But with this story, I really like that it wasn't overbearing. Like, yes, she's a pop star and that is her life, but she's coming to get away from that. So it wasn't so much of the story. I think this book for me was just right place, right time, and I absolutely loved it. I want to immediately go into the second book. So this was wonderful. Those are the 3 books that I read in February. So my prompt for my March reads are only reading green books. So going off the cover of the book, it could be that the cover is green, that there is greenery or nature / foresty type of cover art design. It basically only has to do with the cover of the book. So here are some options or some ideas that I have for reading only green books. First, just because I finished When in Rome, I kind of want to go straight into Practice Makes Perfect. The greenery on here and the flowers, of course, fits the reading green books. In this book, we're following one of Noah's sisters and Amelia's bodyguard. Part of me can't even contain myself. I just want to read this like absolutely right now. But I also kind of want to take a little bit of a break from romance and just kind of like maybe palate cleanse and read something else. But this is high on my list for March or just whenever I read another romance. I really want to get to this. So potentially for reading green books in March, maybe Practice Makes Perfect. Another book I'm pretty sure I will get to in the month of March is the first book in the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. I feel like if I were to start this series, this would be the perfect time because number 1, the cover is green. Number 2, it's less than 200 pages. It would be so quick. 3, it's kind of all the rage right now. So I want to get in on it when I can. So I don't really know anything about this series, just that it's set in the 1800s or something, and that our main character is funny and witty. That's all I know. Another green book I want to maybe read in March is The Mad Wife by Megan Church. I think this book leans more historical and literary fiction / thriller. It says, in the vein of The Bell Jar and The Hours, The Mad Wife weaves domestic drama with psychological suspense so poignant and immersive you won't want to put it down. This one sounds interesting. I'm excited to look into this. Lastly, another book that I have my eye on for the month of March, fitting with the reading green books, is One and Only. This is a book I've been seeing a lot lately, and I love the cover of this. Of course, we have the greenery, which fits with our theme, but from what I understand, this is literary fiction romance. So I don't know if it's just straight romance, but it might be a little bit more than that, have a little bit more depth. Either way, this cover just looks so cute and it makes me want springtime so bad. So I would love to pick up this one as well. That is what I read in the month of February. Those are the books I want to read in March. I like the idea of doing some type of reading prompt every month. I feel like it gets me to read books I wouldn't normally pick up than if I just randomly wanted to read it. Having to stick to a theme, I feel like for me is good to just expand my reading. If you have any ideas of reading prompts to do for each month, let me know. Can't believe that we're already in March, but I hope you had a great reading month. Let me know what you read in February. Let me know what you're reading in March, and I will see you in the next one.